Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Corinne, obviously. Hope you're all having a great day. And we're going to do part two or video two of my Christmas in July. Because I managed to get it together. I want to teach you a really cool technique that I've seen. I've actually never tried it. So again, I'm winging it today. But it should be quite simple. And realistically, the only tool that you're going to need is a scoreboard. So this is my travel one. It's called the Score Buddy. It actually comes with a little scoring tool, I guess you could call it, and a bone folder is actually the word that I'm looking for. But I have a much larger one, but I like to take this one when I'm traveling in case I have to do any kind of scoring or like if I'm making some card bases or something like that. This particular one, I think I paid, it was under $20. And then I got one that does like a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And I think that one was like $35, $40. Now, of course, I got them 10 years ago, or 10 plus years ago. So I'm sure prices have gone up, but it's a good tool to invest in if you are into paper crafting. If you make folios or flip albums or something like that, you will definitely need a scoreboard. If you make your own cards, which is usually less expensive than having to buy pre-made card bases and things like that, this is an excellent option. So I highly recommend getting a score pad, scoring. I just had the name of it and it's gone. Well, this one's called Score Buddy, but anyway, having a scoreboard, that's the word that I'm looking for. A scoreboard is a really handy tool. And once you invest in it, you never have to do anything like you don't have to reinvest. It doesn't wear out unless, I don't know, you drop it a couple of times or whatever. This particular one actually comes with a nice little travel case here so that I can, in case I drop it or whatever, but it makes it nice for when I'm traveling and it's a much smaller footprint. When I'm here at home, I usually use my 12 by 12 one, just because it's easier and I like how it fits. But because I'm going to be filming this particular thing, I want to make sure. So I'm just going to adjust the camera angle here a little bit, make sure I get the bottom. See how I tend to work closer to myself, and then it turns out I'm out of frame a lot. But just to keep it in frame here today, I'm going to use my smaller one here. But both of them use the same. They have different measurements. This one obviously goes to about 6.5 inches. Again, the 12 one goes to 12 inches, and it has like eighth of an inch, quarter of an inch, half inch. So it's all marked based on what sizing you need. Okay. So that's going to be the tool that we're going to need. But what I want to start with today is very simple ink blending. I have a layered stencil here that I'm going to do, but because I need to let it dry a little bit, I'm going to do this part first. Then I'll move on to showing, the technique for another card. And then we'll come back to that. Okay. So here I have this really cool stencil that I got. I have no idea who it's from. But it's a multi-layer stencil and it just has the word ho 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 all over it. And I just think this is so cute. And then the different layers move the ho ho hos around. Okay. So the only thing when you're looking at something like this with a stencil, you want to make sure that you have it going the correct way. So you can see here, all of my O's, it's O O O instead of ho ho ho. So I actually need it to go this way. So that's, when you've got words on something, you want to make sure that you've got them going the correct way. And I took time when I had it and when I first got it and kind of layered them so that I could see which way they were going to go. So I have them going upwards and yeah, that's what we're going to do here. So I'm just going to take some of my distressed ink. So I'm using a dye-based ink and I'm just going to do some very simple ink blending. So this particular color here is Lumberjack Plaid. And I'm just going to go in. Now I could be using some fine detail brushes, but I didn't haul them out. These ones were the easy ones, or not easy, but they were the ones that were most handy. So those are the ones that I'm using because again, sometimes I'm a lazy crafter. Sometimes there are things that I'll put a lot of effort into, and then sometimes it's like, this will work, this will work, this will get the job done. Back on to hold it in place. A little bit more ink on the brush here. Good. All right, so I've covered the whole panel. Now, if I had used a finer, like a smaller ink blending brush, I probably could have done the hose and then these little candy things in a different color if I wanted. I have a dog bone stencil and a coffee cup stencil that are multiple layering levels, and I like to do that with those ones. It just looks really cool because then you can get like really fine detail. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, now let's clean up. I'm just going to move this to the side here. Know why I wasn't thinking and didn't have a baby wipe ready, but let's give this a quick wipe. Again, this is a dye-based ink, so it's water-based, so it shouldn't, I mean, it's red, so it may stain my stencil a little bit, but that's fine. That's what it's for. It's not like it's going to sit in my cupboard and be pristine. I want to be using my stencils and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back in, and I'm going to bring the next level. So and you can see, oh, it's got to pop out there. So I did a arrow going up, but I can kind of place this. Where do I want to place it? So that my hose, which is just really funny when you think about it. How did Santa get with a ho ho ho? And you know, like that is age inappropriate humor there, let me tell you. It's what we call when I go to crops and things like that, we call that the after 10 o'clock cook truck. Okay. So the next color that I'm going to use is going to be, I'm going to start with the Twisted Citron. Okay. So this is a lighter color green. I'm just going to move that red brush out of the way. I did pull out my candied apple, so another combination of good color would have been candy apple, but I do like the deep intense color of the lumberjack plaid. So I'm going to do basically the darker red, so the lumberjack plaid, and then I'm going to do a lighter green and a darker green. Those are going to be my other two stencils. So the Twisted Citron is kind of is like a really citron, like a limey green. So I can see that I've got like one of these little candy sparks right there. So I'm just gonna move my uh, magnet out of the way. And this doesn't have to be perfect again because it's going to be, it's a multi-layer. So we're just looking for the different shadows, like the different colors. That's the effect of the stencil. So it doesn't have to be like, ooh, crisp and totally clean. Plus, the technique that I'm going to show, we might not even use the whole panel. Um, you know, my plan is to actually try and get a twofer out of this because, you all know I like a twofer. But yeah, even if I need to trim down to the part that looks the best, I could do that too if I wanted to. Okay, so I think I've got a good enough coverage on my Twisted Citron. Move that to the side, pop this off, move my panel out of the way here, and give it a bit of a wipe. So oddly enough, look at how much more the green has stained my um, stencil versus the red. Normally it's a red is the one that gets really bad, but not today, not today. Okay, put that to the side. And the last layer of the stencil, I'm gonna bring in, so I'm bringing in that, let's try that a bit. Okay, now where do we want all of the rest of these guys? Yeah, I like that. Okay. And the last color that I'm going to use is Rustic Wilderness. And because I'm using the same formulation, so it's Distress ink to Distress ink, I don't need to clean my brush. And I use the lighter color first, so I can just layer the darker color on top. It's not going to be the end of the world. And then I can wipe this after I'm done if I want, just to, not get too much cross-contamination. The next time I go to use my brushes, because I don't know about you, I don't always remember when I've cleaned it and when I have not. Uh, I like to think that I do, but I don't. Let's be honest. I couldn't even remember for 30 seconds there the name of this scoreboard. So that tends to be what's happening with my brain more and more these days. So this is what we do. So I'll give this a quick scrubby on my microfiber cloth. But again, like I said, I went from distress ink to distress ink. So dye-based ink, and it was distress. So I don't need to clean this brush. I'll just give it a wipe down. And I use the lighter color first, so I can put the darker color on without having to worry about too much cross-contamination from this onto my ink pad or onto like getting too much color change, which, because I'm doing some multiple layers, wouldn't have mattered, but I don't necessarily want too much of a color difference layer to layer here. Okay, so Rustic Wilderness, putting the lid on that. Okay, I'm gonna move that aside. Give this a wipe as well. Again, the stencil, this green is really picking up my colors here. Back. All right, now that's out my this, and I'm gonna this above. So if I'm not actually washing my blending brushes, this is all I do in between colors, greens, because this is my brush for all of my distress ink greens. So if I don't want too much transfer, all I do is just pull out a microfiber cloth, give it a bit of a buff down. I'm going to do the same with the red. I only have two or three, but I do sometimes use this for pinks as well. So I'll just give this a bit of a smudge there, and then I won't have a ton of ink transfer from this if I go to change to, let's say the, was it apple? What is this one called? Candied apple instead of the lumberjack. I won't get a ton of transfer from there. So that's good enough clean for me. Okay. So I'm going to let this dry. So this is the result of the multiple layers on top. So it's pretty cute. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put that to the side so that it can dry. And I'm going to start showing you the technique for a different card while that's drying. So what I want to do is I have a panel here. This is just a card front panel, like a simple white. I'm going to trim it down. So currently it is 4 1/4, should be by 5 1/2, which it is. So I want it to be 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm just going to take off 1/4 inch all the way around. So now it'll be 4 inches by 5 1/2. Sorry, nope, that's a lie. 5 1/4. So my idea of what I'm going to do is I have this poinsettia that I have previously colored. So I'm going to take this. So this is going to be my card base. So it's a top folding A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to put my red panel on top like this. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is this is a die that I colored. So it's kind of like a poinsettia with some pine cones, etc. What I want to do though is create some what's the word that I'm looking for? I want to create some depth and some interest on the back, on the white panel. Okay. But I want something that is going to highlight my die here that I've got. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my score buddy. Okay. And I'm going to grab, now, if you don't have what this is an embossing tool. You can see it's got, whoops, sorry. It's got a tiny, it's got a round edge to it. Make sure that can focus on there. Yeah, it's got a little round thing. So that is actually made to fit into these grooves on your scoreboards. Okay. Same thing with this bone folder. It will actually fit into here and go down. Okay. So you go into the top and pull down, go into the top and pull down. Is how that would work. I tend to like these guys. I find that that pokes through a little bit more. It doesn't give me quite as fine of a detail. So I like to use this. Now, I've heard that Pink and Maine, I think it's Pink and Maine. It's a black one. Nope, sorry, Altenew has one with a black scoreboard that comes with it. But this, I just get this from the dollar store and it's super handy. So I keep this, and then I have a silicone bone folder as well so that I don't get streaks or kind of like a plastic film when I'm folding or creasing an edge. But that's what I like to have. So typically what a person would do is on this kind of card, or if you were using this, is you would line it up into the corners. Let's say you had to score it, or you had to do, you wanted to do a crease. I wanted to do this in half. It's 4 inches. So I would go to the 2 inch mark here. I would put my right in the groove here at the 2 inch, push down lightly. You don't have to go super hard because you'll punch through your paper. Remember, it's still paper. And then I would pull down to score, and that's what that would happen. But because, you know what, I do have another one that I could do. Yeah, decisions here. Okay. Well, what I want to do, because I want this to be on a bit of an angle, I want to okay, that kind of fits there. So what I'm doing is I want to try and create some angles on my paper. And as it sits in this groove right here, that's where I'm gonna, because then I can see how this butts up right against this side here on the left, and then it's sitting into this groove at the 2.5 inch mark. So that's where I want to keep it. That way, then it gives me a position where I can kind of go back and forth from. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the line here. And I'm just going to figure out a pattern. So I think I'm going to skip, and I'm going to go out a 1/2 inch here. Now I could do 1/4 inch, but I'm just going to try it and see how I like it at a 1/2 inch marks. Okay. So we had 3 1/4. So now we need to go 3 3/4, which is this one here. Nope. That's 3 1/2. 3 3/4 is right here. Now, this is a little bit more challenging because I don't have it right up against the top and the side, right? So I am having to be a little bit more careful, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world to challenge yourself and be a little more careful. That can be okay too. Okay, so I did 4 1/4. Now I'm going to go to 4 3/4. So I'm just adding a 1/2 inch. So yes, I know it's a math thing, but you can actually count the grooves if you want, if that's easier. If you don't like doing, if math is not your forte, because there are people out there. I am one of them. Fortunately, I can do fraction like these. I can do, but sometimes, yeah, sometimes things are, a little more challenging. Okay, so I've got 5 1/4. So now I'm going to go to 5 3/4. That's there. And you can lightly, so you want to start lightly so you don't puncture. Also, because if you don't get it well enough in the groove, you can kind of go a little cattywampus when you're pulling it down. But so then while I've still got it in the grooves, is I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to gently reinforce these grooves. Okay, now let me see where I'm at with that. Okay. It gives me room for my sentiment up there still. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So this is going to be the first one. So you can see how I've taken a plain piece of paper. Oh, maybe you can't see. Oh, there we go. Okay. I've taken a plain piece of paper, of white paper even, and I've now given it. So this is essentially similar to using like an embossing folder or something, but say you don't have that. This is standard for most card makers to have a scoreboard of some sort, and usually a scoring tool. So, if you've got this and you've got cardstock, you can create texture and interest into your card without having to have embossing folders, an embossing machine, because not everybody has those. Those are expensive tools to have to buy. And embossing folders are very cheap. They're usually like $10, but to buy an embossing machine can be $90, to buy dies, because you could do like an impression on it and things like that, can be really pricey. So do we want to have to do that? No, not really. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this to my card base. Okay. So you can see, so even that, there we go. So it's starting to pop off of the red, right? So we're getting a little bit of interest, a little bit more, a little bit more. Now, wonder, do I want to? Sure, what the heck? Oh, you can't see me deciding over here, but I'm looking at my inks that I've got off to the side here, and I'm debating if I want to edge the side here just to give it a little bit more pop. Decisions. Let's do it. What the heck? Only paper, right, guys? Paper and your time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've got this is the ink that I'm going to stamp in, and all I'm going to do is I want to take this and I'm just going to drag it along the edge. And essentially the ink is just going to catch the edge and it's going to kind of absorb, well, it will absorb into the paper. And happy with that side. Let's go here. Okay, now because this is a pigment-based ink, I do want to make sure that I'm going to blot this or dry it. So I'm going to take, because this will be, see if I were to pull my finger across, you can see there's a little bit of red there. So I don't want to get that all over my nice white card panel because, you know, that would be me. This is, again, this is a clean and simple kind of option, which, you know you guys are all shocked. I don't think my clean and simple video came out yet for the white, but that's coming in August and it's going to be really cool. Okay, so that has just kind of edged the white a little bit, which is nice. So now I'm going to adhere my card panel. Now, if I wanted to, I could pop this up too, but I think I'm going to pop up my poinsettia. All right. Okay, that's pretty straight. Straight as it's going to be for me. Okay, so this guy is going to go here. I'm going to want this Merry Christmas to go there. Okay, so I am going to pull out I was going to use my stamp platform, but I think I'm just going to use okay. So this is it's almost like a mouse pad. So it's just got a little bit of foam. So when you're stamping, if you're not going to use a stamp platform, this is a great idea to use because it gives your stamp something to bite into from the other side, right? You don't necessarily want to be doing it on a hard surface because it doesn't give your stamp the movement space. So I'm just going to use a simple block. Again, things that a lot of crafters will have in their stash without having to spend a lot of money. So now I'm just I'm putting it onto, so there's lines on my block here, and I'm just kind of checking out the alignment, and I'm going to I'm going to stamp it down right here. And I'm actually going to use VersaFine Clair Strawberry. And the reason why I'm going to do this without a stamp platform is I'm using a pigment-based ink. Pigment-based inks get a really great transfer. You just have to make sure that you get, so you want to check out your stamp, make sure that it's all shiny. You want to ink up your stamp really, really well. Because it's unlikely I'm going to be able to try and stamp this again and get it perfect there, right? So I've inked up my stamp, looks pretty good. And pull it into here and sorry, kind of trying to get my head over top here so I can see. And now I'm going to push that down. I'm not doing chest compressions. You can see I'm adding some pressure, but I'm not doing a chest compression because when you do that, particularly with silicone stamps, what happens is you squish the letters of the stamp. So instead of getting like a really nice straight eye, it kind of goes bowed in some areas. So it'll flex out depending on how much pressure you give onto your stamp. So you don't want to do that. So all you need to do, you're just going to put it down. You're just going to give it some nice time for the ink to transfer from your stamp to your cardstock. Nice even pressure. And then you're going to lift up. And give the stamp a wipe. Go. So, and put the stamp block away. Okay. Nice Merry Christmas impression, and the ink really well matches my card base, which is lovely. Didn't know it was going to do that, but that's always nice. Oh, where's my phone tape? Okay. I was at a crop last weekend and apparently I haven't unpacked everything. Is anybody shocked? No, no, we're not, right? Let's be honest. We're not shocked that Kareen has not fully unpacked. Okay, so I'm going to pull out a couple of pieces of foam tape here because this is apparently the only one that I've got at the moment, which, okay, don't know what I was thinking there, but all right, because I'm going to pop this up because I think that that will again add that nice depth dimension. We've added some really lovely detail on the back. Okay. I want to totally get to the end of some of these greens because I think some of them I'm going to have to trim off because they're going to go outside my card. But I do want to get some nice adhesive coverage. And yep, definitely going to have to find my my foam tape. And let's see. There, there, I think needed. Guys here. So we'll do one over here and one right here. Now, you can see here where it's pretty it's just got the white lines and whatever. So we can do that. I'm going to stick this on here. I'll show you another trick for zhuzhing up. Once I'm going to do a second one that's very fairly similar before we move on to the ho 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 card. Let's pull this off first. Come on. Oh, come on. Go. Sticky idles. This long one for the last one. This one. How's everybody's summer coming along? It's the 19th of July today. I was at a crop last weekend for my birthday. I had a wonderful time with some friends and just, spending the weekend crafting, which, can't go wrong with that. Always a good way to spend the weekend. Okay, and then I'm just going to come around from the back here and I'm going to grab my scissors, which, yeah, it'll be okay. And I'm just going to trim. Whoop, one. Do the same for this one. Oh, yeah, so I got a little close with that foam tape there, but that's okay. One, two. Some here. Okay. So here we go. Here is the basics of the card. Now, obviously, not obviously, but what I'm going to do is I'll come in here with my Wink of Stella pen, or well, actually, this is the close to my heart one, but I'm going to come in here and give a little bit of glitz to the poinsettia, and I'm just giving a little bit of sparkle there. What I'll also do is I'm going to color the berries, like I'll put some sparkle, but then I'll also go in on the berries and maybe the pine cone, like the pine cone I might do with some stickles because I do have some like coppery colored stickles. But for the berries, I'm going to add this little bit of highlight here, and then I'll come in with some either some glitter stickles or some liquid glossy accents, kind of make these berries almost look like plastic, like little stickers. It's very cool. Mm. A little bit of zhuzhing, zhuzhing, zhuzhing. There we go. And then, okay, so that's that. So you can see the little bit of zhuzh. Give it a little bit of shine because after all, it is a Christmas card. Now I've got these really nice Christmas flat back pearls, kind of in these reds and turquoises. No, reds and turquoise. That's not right. In greens and reds is meant to say. And none of these are turquoise. So I could pull in, like I've got this really pretty kind of a greeny what's the word that I'm looking for? Like green crystal kind of looking one, or I've got these really pretty red beads, which I think look almost similar to the um the berries, right? So by the time I'm done, I think, like adding on the little zhizhins, I think that would be really nice. Okay, so I'm going to pull out, I'm going to continue, I'm going to use this big red one, and you guys know me, so I like to do groupings of 5. So I'm going to do kind of like that, and then we'll do 1, 2, actually, we'll pull this one, and then we can do, hmm, actually, there's a smaller one. There is a smaller one. Yay! So let's do that instead. So we'll do like there. Very nice. Okay. So before I go and, dump them all over my desk, let's quickly do this. Put the lid on. Good plan. Good plan. And we'll move those to the side. Okay. And we will quickly grab this guy and do some adhesive. Okay, so picking up now, this is just a this is like a jewel picker. It's actually like a wax tipped pencil. You can get them in a lot of places. You can get them from craft stores. But this particular one, I think I got from Temu or from Ali. But the best thing to look for is for supplies for people who do nails, because it picks up all of the fine jewel details, etc. Okay, card number 1. Very nice. I'm not going to make you guys wait while I do the glossy accents and stuff. I'll do that afterwards. But what I wanted to show you was another variation on the poinsettia, okay, using a slightly different orientation on the card. Okay, so I'm going to take another white card front here, and I'm going to trim it down. So again, it was 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to trim this down to 4 by 5 1/4. Let's see here. Sorry, you might be able to hear hubby putting away the dishes upstairs. So hopefully that's not going to be too loud for you guys. I don't know how much you can hear the clunk, clunk, clunk of that happening upstairs. Okay, so this is another poinsettia. So this is a friend of mine had a layering stencil, a fairly large one. So, wouldn't be able to now if I was doing like a 5 by 7 card, I could do that against the bottom or something like that. That'd be really nice. But what I thought I would do is do this, and then I can trim off the edges, right? Like just nip off some of the leaves and stuff like that for the edge. But but I want to do some detail on this very plain black or white mm, card front is the word that I'm looking for. And this one may not, because it's so big. I don't know. Like, so I'm going to have 1/4 inch. So this is about where my card would sit. Yes, I did. I could go like this. Merry Christmas. What do we think of that? That's kind of interesting, hey? Because this is going to be pretty big. So that could really work. Mm. Decisions, decisions. Okay, so how big are these guys? These guys are a 1/2 inch. All right, so that means I have to make sure that I'm leaving 1/2 inch on the edge here. That's what that means. All right, so what I want to do then is, let's see, what does this one say? This is a nice, oh, this is a very nice Merry Christmas, a nice handwritten kind of do at 3 1/2. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do 1/2 inch ones, but to make it so that I can put my sentiment on here, I'm going to, yeah, these are going to go vertically instead. So just this is exactly how I would typically use this particular tool is vertically. So I'm doing 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1 1/2 inches, 2 inches, 2 1/2 inches. I'm going to go to 3, and then I'm going to go to 3 1/2 right there. Okay. So you can see here the pattern of what I've done there. Okay. Now, the other thing that I'm going to go back in and I'm going to deepen it. So you can see where it's starting to curl actually, because typically, like I'm starting, you're working the fibers of the paper. And so it's starting to curl up. So I'm just going to go in and reinforce my score lines here. But again, I don't want to go super hard because this is just paper. I could very easily punch through the paper. Now, what I also want to do is this is a jelly roll. It's by Sakura, and this is I don't even know if you're going to be able to see that on the back of here. Let's see if it can catch the light there. Let me see if I can catch the light. I just did a scribble. Oh, it's not catching the light. Oh, there it is, right there. So right here, I just did a scribble, and what it does is it's like a clear gel, but it has like some glitter in it. So it adds just a skosh of shine. So I'm going to run that down my score lines while it's in the scoreboard. This is what I was considering doing while you guys were watching me waffle earlier after I stuck my first card panel down, and I was like, oh dear. Yeah, I get the guidance, which is kind of nice, right? Okay. All right. Now jelly rolls again, because it is it's kind of got a pigment in it. These stay wet for a bit longer. So I don't know if that's going to catch it or not, but you can definitely see the detail, and we'll see if the glitter will show up or not. We'll see how well that works. But what I want to do while I'm waiting for this to dry is now I want to stamp my sentiment. I'm going to do that before I stick this on my card. So as I said, this Merry Christmas, and this is going to be really quite nice. I'm going to stamp that right along this edge here. And I need a stamp book. Stick this down, and I want to make sure that it's fairly straight. Actually, try and catch the bottom of all of the letters. There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I've tried to put the bottom of all of the letters along this line here. Okay. And the color that I'm going to use for this particular one is this lilac bloom. I think it'll be a really nice, kind of pretty color. But I want to do a test strip first, I think, because as a scrap. Nope, that's right inside of a card. Well, I've just kind of torn. Okay, guess it's going to be this one. All right, so let us check out what this color looks like. So I haven't used this stamp before, so I'm going to try it out. And this is a really great way to condition your stamps as well, is to stamp them multiple times, have the ink go onto them. Now, how do I like that color with that? It's kind of pretty, hey? Do we like that color, or do we like the darker color? Let's try, because I also have a dark navy here, or a navy-ish color here. So this also gives you the opportunity to try out a couple of different colors while you're conditioning your stamp. Another way is to just rub your fingers over it too, to get that. Okay, so here are the two colors. So I've kind of got the lighter color, and then I've got the darker color in the navy. Oops, sorry, too far out of frame there, guys. Oh, you know what? I like the darker color with it. I think it gives it more pop off of, kind of catches all of the highlights on the veins in the flower. Okay, so the darker color it is. Good. I'm glad that I looked at that then. So again, I'm going to be using VersaFine Clair. It's a pigment-based ink. That's in general what you want to be using if you're using stamping for sentiments, because you'll get the most crisp and best transference of ink, because it sticks. It's kind of got a polymer, or like it's oil based, so it sticks to your stamp really well. Versus when you have a dye based ink, which is water based, what can happen is you then get a beading on your silicone stamp. So if you imagine, like, you've got, oops, you've got like a silicone spoon, right? Like you're cooking soup or something like that, and you're stirring it. When you pull it out of soup that you've used with a water, it'll bead into like tiny little droplets. Versus if you do something that you've made like a tomato soup with milk, it coats the spoon, you know. So that's the difference between a dye-based ink or a pigment-based ink. Dye-based is water, so it will bead and come into droplets. Pigment-based will has an oil base, so it will coat your I was going to say your spoon, but it will coat your stamp to the paper. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yay me. Look at that. That's a nice job. So again, I don't know if I actually said this, but because I got on a tangent there, but the color that I'm using is VersaFine Clair Twilight. These I've so far have found these to be the best pigment inks that I've tried personally. Yeah, so you know, whatever floats your boat that way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is because the ink from the jelly roll has dried enough, I want to do, because I have this really nice kind of turquoisey, this color really matches this flower really nicely, I thought. So I pulled out this as a card base. So again, it's a stamp. Oh gosh, good thing I looked because I was going to do that upside down. Would have been a left-handed card for my friends. So this is a standard A2 size card, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to take my card front panel here and I'm going to add some adhesive. Into the corner here. Oh, cattywampus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. There we go. So the nice thing about liquid adhesive gives you a moment or two to kind of move it into place, which is nice. Now look at how nice that card is, even just like that. Like you've got that nice detail, that nice dimension. You guys, it's not showing up on camera, but there is some sparkle, like I can see here. Like it almost looks like it's wet in the grooves. So it kind of looks like a fence panel almost, which is kind of cool. Now, while I'm in here, I'm going to find my thicker foam tape because yeah, that's I'm gonna run out of the thinner one. And definitely gonna need it. Here we go. Da, 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 foam tape. So now what I want to do is I am going to take my flower and I am going to put it here, but I'm going to pop it up. So you can see here as I'm moving it around. So I've still got my Merry Christmas sentiment. I don't want to cover that up because that's the main thing. But look at how much of that card, we've got the dimension behind it. We've got some depth. It's gonna be so nice. Yay me. So again, lovely, super excited. Do you guys ever do that when you have like a project that you're like, oh my gosh, this turned out even better than I thought it was going to? Yeah, you know, I shouldn't toot my own horn, but there are times when I do because I'm pretty excited about it. Yeah. So I hope that you guys do have moments like that because that's, you know, those are some of the best moments in crafting. Did I catch that edge? No, I'm good. Those are some of the best moments in crafting. And so I would hope that for everybody's sake that you do get those wonderful, I can't believe I just did that moments because they're pretty awesome. And I hope when you're giving your cards too, that you have people who are like, how did you do that? That's amazing. Because that's also pretty cool. Little little ego stroking in this world when you know sometimes you don't get that sometimes, so it's nice to have moments where you can create that for yourself kind of thing, which is lovely. Right. I'm just kind of catching it in a couple of places here still. You know, I want it to be pretty well supported. um Ooh, sticky. I want it to have really decent support along these edges. But again, I know that these kind of areas here are likely going to be cut off. So I don't need to get too far in on those ones, but I do want a little bit just under there. And you just noticed a space that I kind of missed. Okay. All right. So I should be able to still have this kind of wrap right. Whoa, look at that. It's even getting closer. That's awesome. Oh, I'm excited. Let's leave that one for last. Okay. Anybody aware of the time, how long we're going here? At any time, by all means, guys, feel free to like fast forward, move towards the end, just kind of watch just some of the techniques. You don't have to watch me finishing all of the cards. I like to do start to finish because a lot of people get curious about how do you do this? Where would I finish it? How do I, those kind of things. But I want to show you the different techniques here because you can do this with anything. It doesn't have to be just for Christmas. Again, you could, if you have a scoreboard and a scoring tool, and cardstock, and some stamp, like you could do this with anything. Happy birthdays, thank yous, get wells, thinking of you, sympathy cards. This would be lovely, lovely, right? To do something like this just with deepest sympathy and a nice flower, or if you've got even actually like a really big sentiment. Like I could just do this and just do a really ginormous happy birthday sentiment there, which I've done with other cards. I'm not doing it with this particular one, but I have done that. Um, and it looks really nice. So okay, I'm pretty much going almost tip to tip here. Oh, and I don't even have to cut anything off. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Ooh. And forget that thing when you're doing something and then like your computer pops up things like, oh, let's do an Apple update. Maybe not while I'm filming. That would be nice. Okay. So again, what I would do on here is pull out and add in, again, just to put in the highlights, add in a little bit of glitter onto the flower. I would hit the what do you call it? The berries as well. And yeah, do a little bit of glitter with those. But even if you don't have that, you don't need to. This is more than enough to have it be a beautiful, beautiful card that, most people would be lovely or very grateful to receive. Okay, more berries here. And now, I could leave it just like this as well. So after I finish filming, I probably will come in and add some stickles or Nouveau drops or something to the berries and to the flower, just to kind of again add that little bit of depth and dimension. But so you could just leave it just like this. That would be great. Or I really hope that Apple software update thing is not sitting right in the middle of your guys' bloody view, because it is in the middle of mine. Oh, you. All right. Okay. So I could leave it just like this. I'm going to move that off to the side just in case it is showing on yours. Let's close that. Okay. But I can also pull out some really pretty little drops, or some flat back pearls would be really nice on here. I've got some crystals that would be really lovely. So let's try. Those are not as white. I want the white because my cardstock is quite white. Or I've got these really cute little, they almost look like raindrops. So let's pull out a couple of these guys, because I think that would be really quite lovely. And then we'll go, oops, one, that, and slightly smaller one, like that. Oh, come on, you. Oh, you know what? Nope, don't like these. I think I want just this plain white on there. Picking up too much color. It's adding a whole nother color that I don't want in there. So it was actually showing almost yellowish through, because it's got that crystally tinge to it. So I don't like how it's adding that yellow to it. I really want to highlight either the blues or the whites is going to be the majority of it. So let's pull out a few of these guys. I don't think I'm going to use the ginormous one this time. I'm going to kind of keep it smaller in profile. Mhm. Come here, you. Little guy. And what about here? But That's a different size. So we can go here like that. And we need one more. What does this look like? So I think I want you there. Yep. Like that there. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna put those back in. Right. Stick pin. Wax stick here. Yep. A little bit of liquid adhesive behind there. Go. Okay. And card number 2. Check that out. All right. Now, let's go back to the card that I had done the ink blending on, right? So first of all, what I want to do, you can see the areas where it kind of ran off. The stencil didn't cover the whole thing because this is a full size panel. Yeah, 4¼ by 5½. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it down a little bit here. So trimming there gets all the edges. So now it's 5½. And let's do 1/4 inch this way. And 1/4 inch, no, 1/2 inch. Nope, sorry, 1/8 inch. Okay, so now my panel is 4 by 5¼ Okay. So, and I like it. Looks good. Looks good. But what I want to do, not but, and what I'm going to do is I want to do again, because I said I wanted to try and get a twofer out of this. So what I'm going to do is put this on an angle and I'm going to trim it off there, just like so I've got 2 now, right? That's what I'm going to do. And now I'm going to come in and what was the background that I wanted to use for this? Don't remember. Don't think it was going to be that one. It's just going to use a plain white. And I'm going to use a red because I thought this would really pop off of this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down, this red one. I'm going to trim this one down as well to 4 by 5¼ So 4 by 5¼ Okay. So now what you can see here, so I'm just keep those trims there. What you can see here is this will fit either here, just like that. And that would be really nice, even just finished like that. If I had, let's see here. So if you saw my video last week, look, I have some of the red and green and gold strip that's left. I could just finish it with that too. Look at how nice that is. Do a little Merry Christmas up there. That could work really nicely. So that's an option. I might even do that yet. I don't know. But what I want to do, I think this is the red and green one there too. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Do I have another one still? Well, see, sometimes it's a good thing to hold on to your scrappies here. But so what I want to do is I want to decide which of these sides I want to use. So I kind of like it larger, but I think I want to cut a little bit off of the top of here. So I want the ho 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 up at the top, but I'm going to trim it off the top here a little bit. Oh, that's good. All right. So just going to pull this in and I'm going to take off. So I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible. So I'm kind of lining up along the line here because there's not a lot of, oops, sorry, you guys can't see that. There's not a lot of support at the bottom of my trimmer. So I'm making sure that it's lined up across the line here. And I'm going to trim that off because I didn't want a ton of white there, right? Then what I'm going to do is, let me see. So I could pull this so that it has the red like that. That's kind of interesting. Or I can go right up to the top for when I put this on a white card base, right? This is my card base here. So this is what it's going to end up looking like. It's going to come here. And I'm going to go there. Do I want it right to the top or do I want it down? think I want it right to the top there. Okay, but what I want to do is I'm going to pop this up, but in the meantime, what I'm going to do is pull in my scoreboard because I want to match this angle. So you can see here, right? So I'm going to put this in and I'm going to match kind of the angle that I've got on the go here because I want to add dimension. I want to add interest to the red part of my cardstock. I could also do stripes, whatever, into this pattern and just do my Merry Christmas sentiment here in like black. Could totally do that. Maybe I should do that. That could work, right? Decisions, decisions. Okay, so if I keep that there, let's do, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. So I want to do 1/4 inch. What can I get that at there? Let's start with 1/4 inch here. And we're going to do 1/4 inch like that. Can I get another 1/4 inch right there? Yes, I can. Ooh, went too far off. Too far off. Can Oh, straight. Pull you off for a second. Bring you guys up here. Okay. Line it up at the bottom. Okay, so I've got 1/4 inch here. One. Oh, fudge sakes. What am I doing here? Three, one. This is the challenge when you're not using straight edge. That's what I would say. Okay. Three, is that right? Well, it looks like I might have to do this from the bottom because I've kind of uffed up my top part here. Unless I can figure out something to cover that up with, which is not out of the realm of possibility. Okay, not totally out of the realm of possibility. So, but I am liking this 1/4 inch pattern here because it gives it a little bit more va-va-voom. So, let's see here. Okay, it's a one. There we go. And I believe that should be 1 3/4 inch. Should be, yeah. Whoop, should be 1 quarter. Okay, now can I straighten that out enough that it's not noticeable from the back? It's a $20 question here. So I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to kind of go along the back of this and I'm going to straighten out where I put my line. So I don't know if you guys can see this here. So you can see, yeah, where I kind of went a little cattywampus in some of my lines. But by coming here with my bone folder from the back, I can re-push up the area where I went a little cattywampus so that it looks correct is what I'm trying to do here. And I think I'm pretty happy with that, but I think I actually have to trim this to a different level because it's kind of screwing up the line here a bit. So to have this be much more even. So do right there. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up the embossed line with the line on my paper trimmer so that when I come back to my card here, because you can see here, I have done a few lines into the paper to kind of get it to match. So, yeah, so what I can do now is line up where I had those. There we go. And I'm going to continue to do 1/4 inch. So I've got this one here. I've got this one. Is that the three? Yes, it is. So which one is the three here? That's way the heck off. Is that supposed to be three there? That's three there. Okay, all right. So let's do that. Let's do, and I've got to redo this because I jigged it funny. There we go. And we're going to go into this at 3.5 inches here. And while I've still got it in, so that was 3.5, let's go 3 3/4 here. Again, I want to keep this right here so that I know where I've got to go to. I'm going to go to 4. I think I can get one more here. So 4 1/4. There we go. I don't want to, yeah, see, that's going to end up going into where my stamp area is. So I'm going to leave that. Now I'm going to turn this over. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to straighten the areas where I went a little cattywampus here. And fortunately enough, from the back, you can get a pretty good glimpse of where you went wrong here, which is handy. So I'm just taking the edge of my bone folder and I'm just kind of running it along the area where I scored because I don't need to have that score line. So I'm kind of popping the paper back up. Okay, and then because I want to do that from this hand because I am right-handed, get this edge here. Push that in. So this was unexpected. So again, I don't know if you guys, if you watched the first Christmas in July video where I had the die cut that did not die cut and we had to correct that mistake. Here's another mistake happening right in front of you that we're fixing. So we don't have to throw it away because there's no point in doing that because truthfully, most people aren't even going to notice really any boo-boos that you made. Most, unless they're a card maker, and even then, some card makers, like, we're not paying the most attention. You see it because you know that it happened, but your average person is not going to know that that happened. So, in order to camouflage that, because I did make that boo-boo, now what I want to do is I'm going to pull this in here, okay? And I'm going to bring, so I'm going to deepen those score lines in the correct places. And now, again, I'm going to come in with my clear Sakura jelly. Ooh, do I want to use clear or do I want to use silver? Silver would be nice on here, wouldn't it now? Let's see, silver. Oops, that was something else. Okay, so let's do silver. Yeah, let's see how that looks. Let's try it out because, we're just winging stuff here today. So this way, at least then you guys can actually see this on camera. Because again, I don't know on the darker color, theoretically, it should show up better for you. But, who knows? Who knows? You should have been able to see the little bit of shine from the clear one, but we'll do the silver because you can always do red and green and silver for Christmas, right? And again, this is drawing a little bit more attention to the embossing detail versus the place where I made the boo-boos. Always a way to fix the boo-boos. Actually, that's not true. I had one card this past weekend that I actually did end up throwing away. The girls were all shocked and amazed because mostly I can fix things and stuff like that. But this was 3 times I tried to fix it. And yeah, it just was not getting any better at all. Okay, so here we've got the detail. Oh, that looks really cool. All right, so for this, I'm going to pop this up because I want that to stand up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that. The other thing that I think would be really, oh, it's too bad I used gold or use green or silver on that because this green and gold one would be really cool on there. But that's not going to work, so we won't use that. Foam tape, that's what I'm looking for, as I'm having a moment here. Okay. So we're going to do foam along the top, which should be able to go pretty much right from that edge, which it will. Good. And we're gonna go right along this side here, like so. Cut that because that's not good. There we go. Almost to the tip there. Move it over a little bit, but a little too close to the edge. Okay. And there it is. Now I just need to do the one edge here. Call it good. Okay. All right. So let's peel these pieces. Put that on. Whoop. Glue. And the bottom one now. Okay, there we go. All right. So I want to try and do to the best of my abilities. I want these to match up because I did put the score lines in so that these guys would be the same, right? So we've got, I don't know if you can see that here, but we've got, oh, there, yeah, there we go. So we've got the score lines and it continues on as we go down to here. Now, what I'm going to do first, before I continue and actually put this on my card base, is I want to stamp my sentiment, which is going to be this lovely Merry Christmas, because it's a nice big, it's pretty decent size. Pretty much says what we're going to be, you know, Merry Christmas to the season here. Now I was thinking, I think I'm gonna have to do black. I could do red on red. That could be really nice, but I think it would be a little too subtle. And because I'm not heat embossing, if I was heat embossing it, it'd be no problem. But I'm not heat embossing it, so I think I'm just going to keep it black is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stamp it Merry Christmas in the black. And where is my here is my VersaFine Clair Nocturne. This is the black. This is the standard. Again, probably one of the most versatile inks you'll have. I use, again, anytime I'm doing sentiments, oh, sorry, excuse me, I use a pigment-based ink. If I'm stamping images that I have to color, I will use my Gina K amalgam ink in the black because I can stamp it with that and I don't have to worry about what medium I'm going to use for coloring because I can use alcohol inks or pigment or watercolor or pencil crayons or whatever when I'm using an amalgam ink because it doesn't react to those versus if I used alcohol inks on these because these have a solvent in them, it gets reactivated and they get a lot of blurring. So you can use this for images if you're planning on watercoloring or just using pencils or something like that, you could definitely use this. But if you're planning on using any kind of alcohol, so alcohol inks or anything like that, you can't use this. Or if you're using Gamsol to activate and blend your pencil crayons, you can't use pigment-based inks. You'd have to use a dye-based or an amalgam. So rather than having to have and remember what I stamped it with. Because again, you guys have seen I tend to stamp my images and then I'll take my coloring with me when I go on holidays or something like that. I'll take that. So I never know what I've stamped it with. So that's why I use the amalgaming because then I know I'm covered for whatever I'm doing, which is very, very, very handy. Okay, that came out really nice. Like, look at how lovely that is. Now, I'm going to move this to the side here and we're going to put this on a base like so. Oh yeah, that's really cute actually. I don't even know if it needs more. One thing that I would do, so before I stick this down on a card base, what I am going to try and do, and this is pretty daring because again, straight hands, is I'm going to follow the lines, much as I did with the silver, of course, but now I've pulled this out of my score buddy or my scoring, I can't remember that name again. My scoreboard. That's the word I'm looking for. Now I'm just kind of freehanding it. So it is possible to do this. I don't recommend it, but again, it's just paper. I don't know why I'm waiting until the last minute to do this, but sometimes that's what happens. You just need that. I just notice it needs a little bit of the zhuzh. So we can add in a little bit of the zhuzh. Right. And there. So, and we have one more right here at the edge. And actually, while I was doing this, I just had a thought of something else that we could do to just jazz it up just a little bit. So if you'll permit me a moment, fast forward if you don't want to watch this part, but this is yeah, we're gonna jazz it up a little bit. Oh, so you might be able to see. No, still can't catch any of the glitter that's in there. Hmm, all right, okay. But the adding that clear glitter pen into the edges there did highlight it a little bit more, which is nice. But before I put that on, what I want to do is, I'm thinking, I have. I think I did. And did I keep them? Hot diggity, I did. Did I keep the reds? Reds and greens. Yes. Woo-hoo. Okay. So from last week's or the last video that I did, I had these strips, right? I cut all of these strips that I made these cards out of. And so we've got all of these beautiful reds and greens. Reds and greens. So let's just grab a nice red and a nice green. Okay, so now these are 1/2 inch, which could be problematic, but might not be. So, oh, they're too short. Damn it. All right. Okay. So that works out that way then. I will use instead this side. Pull out, pull out, pull out, pull out, pull out some scraps still. So I've still got some, oh yeah, see, I've still got some red and green here. So are they long enough? That will be the challenge. I think I can make that long enough. Yep. And red. Yep, I can make those long enough. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, and again, this is why you don't throw stuff away. Paper trimmer to the rescue. This is the nice thing about a guillotine one is that I can come in here and I want to do because I have these are 1/4 of an inch. Is that what I did? Because I like them. Yeah, 1/4 of an inch. So what I want to do is I want to go in and I want to make some strips that are 1/8 of an inch so that they kind of fit halfway through that. So the way to do that is I want to try and get them as straight as possible. They don't have to be perfect, but I'm going to try and have them be pretty decent. And I'm just measuring them off to the edge here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And then I'm going to push it in again. So I'm going to do two, because the card base is red, I want to do 2 greens and 1 red is my intent here. And I'm kind of just lining up the edges and just kind of, well, truthfully, it's small enough that I'm just eyeballing it actually. Okay, there's 2 greens. Now we just need 1 red. Squish this to the edge. Now, obviously, it would be better if I had a little bit more play space, like room to maneuver this so I could actually measure it and stuff like that. But, things like this is what you want to use your scrap, right? Is exactly this kind of thing. Okay, so I think let's give this a go. Now my plan, so let's test it out and see if it's going to work because it could look like crap. And then, let's test it before we glue it down. Okay, so we've got one there. And I want to do the red here in between the silver. And I want to do green right there. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. Really cool. Now, the other thing that I could do is I could do red, or sorry, I could do green, red, and green, just to kind of add a little bit of highlight to the top. Oh no, I think I like it below. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my tweezers because this is going to be a little bit of gluey here. And I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive to the back. And I'm going to take this and I want to try and position it close to in the center of my 1/4 inch um, score lines there. Kind of what I'm trying to do there. Isn't it? Again, fortunately enough for me, I did this on an angle, so it doesn't have to be perfect. And this glue is Barely Arts glue, so it will dry clear, so that's fine. Where I smudged it there, that won't be a problem. So I've got one green one down. Let's do the red. Whoop, missed an edge. Whoop, whoop, go. And let's do this edge to there. To okay. Squeegee it down so that it adheres. Good plan. Okay, and pull the last green one. And again, this is just a tiny little bit of paper, so it doesn't need a lot of adhesive on it. If you don't like doing this, again, you can use sticky specs. If you don't like using liquid adhesive or those kind of things, you can even use a Xyron runner. Kind of turns, like puts adhesive on the back of it, kind of turns it into a sticker almost. Okay, so I am getting some marks on here from where it does show the adhesive. It's still clear and it's drying, but it is kind of showing it as a matte on the mirrored cardstock. So all I have to do is come in and buff it with my finger and that comes off. And I'm going to do that. Well, that adhesive is now what I can do coming from the back here. I'm just going to snip these edges. 1, 2, 3. This is why I'm doing this before I stuck this onto the base, is because I want these edges to finish right at the edge of the red cardstock instead of going onto the white. I think that that's going to be make it very nice, and it's going to allow for that white to really ground and be the focal point then, or to soften the yeah, just to kind of give it that nice clean edge, right? Okay, so there's my card base, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to take some liquid adhesive and I'm going to stick it down. Stick it down, stick it down. I want to make sure that I'm catching it pretty much right to the edges, and then also catching a couple of the ridges underneath to make sure that it's going to adhere um, in the peaks and valleys of the card base there. Okay. Let's pick that up and kind of make sure it's in the right spot. Oh, yeah, that's cute. This is so cute. Now, if a person wanted to, so this is really nice and simple. This would actually be a really great guy's Christmas card, right? But if somebody wanted to, you could, let's say you had a little Santa Claus critter that you had colored, or a little penguin, something like that, could stick that up here. Could do some jewels. I'm not going to do jewels because I'll keep this as a men's Christmas card, right? Like it's really nice. It's got a little bit of subtle shine and sheen to it. So it's still Christmassy without being like, oh, in your face glitter. I know you're all shocked and amazed, right? Okay, so I had one more card that I wanted to show you. So I'm kind of trying to fit all of these in. So forward if you don't want to watch, okay? Like you don't have to watch this one, but it's really, I think it's going to be really cool. So you might really enjoy it. What I'm wanting to do again is this is the image. So this is an image that I have already colored. Look at how cute it is, right? So it's a little town and whatever. So what I want to do though is I'm going to trim off probably half an inch so that I have room to do my sentiment right here, which is Santa Claus is coming to town. And that one I'm going to stamp right onto the bottom of my card. And I'm going to have this come up like that. So I'm going to have to trim a half inch off here so that this can sit right here. But I'm going to have the town, I'm going to do some scallop, like some lines here so that it's kind of grounding the town. And then Santa kind of probably right. Yeah, I think I'm going to do my sentiment over here because it'll make it weightier on this side. And then I can do Santa popped up over here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be very simple, but if you don't want to watch, then go ahead and, you do whatever you need to do here. So the first thing that I want to do though is I'm going to stamp my sentiment because, that's really going to suck if I can't get this right. So I'm going to pull this in. Santa is coming to town. And I need my stamp pad here again. Okay, and this one I am going to do in the darker navy. So this is the Twilight from Versifying Claire. Well, there's a smudge on the edge there. So let's wipe that off so I can get it on the card. Okay, Santa Claus is coming to town. Now I'm going to put this right at the bottom edge. Okay. Then on the inside, I could do like happy holidays or Merry Christmas to you or wishing you all of the best. Or if this is like for a kid's card, although it's pretty fancy Santa. So it might be more of a, like, yeah, hope your holiday wishes come true or something like that. It'll be really cute. But you'll notice I haven't used any like die cut sentiments in this. It's all been stamps. So stamps, I did use the die cut of the flowers, but maybe that's what you have because, crafters have a lot of different things. So what have you got? What can you borrow from a friend? Those kind of things. Always good to always good to check. Okay, so because this is a again a pigment-based ink, I'm going to put this aside to dry for a little bit because it's going to need to dry. And let's see here. So we have how much space did that take up? I don't want to have to cut off too much if I don't have to. Yeah, I definitely need to take a half an inch off of this so that it will fit. But I want it to go fully to the edge. So I'm not going to trim down the 5.5 inch side because I want it to go right to the edge. But I am going to take a half an inch off this side. So it was 4.25, right? 4.25 here. So I'm going to take it down to 3.75 is what I'm going to trim it to. We're going to do that. Like so. And then I'm going to come in with, so I think that I can do this to this point here because my Santa can kind of, so let's pop him up here. So my Santa. So yeah, I don't mind if he's popped up there. We don't need to see the everything below him. So my die cut can sit there. So this, let's see how far, oh fudge, moved it again. Okay, line this up here. Put that right up there. Is that enough for Santa? Yeah, that's enough for Santa, I think, okay? Especially if I'm kind of doing that. Yeah, that works well. Okay, so I have to about a 1 inch space here to kind of ground this scene. So I'm going to come in and I want to do, let's try, well, we'll try 1/4 of an inch. Actually, I think I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch here. One. So that's almost every one of these little ticks. Here, two more. Well, shift it did because I was learning all in right, but that's okay. I'm going to work with that. Now, while I've got this out here, I am again to add that little bit of shine because it is Christmas, right? So I'm going to go in with my jelly roll, fudge, my jelly roll pen here. And I'm just going to follow the lines. Now it did skip the line here, but that's okay because I'm also going to be adding some white splatter to kind of make it look like a starry background. So it's not going to be the end of the world here. Okay, now you notice here that it's getting a little close for my fingers. So what I can do, oh no, I can't because it doesn't go that close at that side. So what I'm going to do is move my fingers over here to touch it on the other side to kind of hold it right into the corner. Alrighty. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. Lid. All right, so maybe on the navy. Oh yeah, look at see how much better that shows up on the navy. Look at how dark that is, but how much shine that adds into the basis of the card, right? Okay. Bada, bada, bada. So you probably would have seen it on the red when I was doing that. Now, what I want to do is I have my schlubby piece of paper here, right? So I'm going to kind of cover that there because I don't want a ton of what am I looking for here? So I am going to pull out a white paint pen here. This is going to have everything kind of going all over the place, but that's okay. I'm going to give it a good shake and I'm going to take my, got a nice good heavy kind of whacker here. And this is just I think this is Michael's Craftsmart and it's a white and it's an acrylic paint pen. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just getting it flowing to the tip and then I'm going to go. And I'm just tapping it along like this. Okay. So you can now see that I'm starting to get some white splatter. So it looks like snow and starry skies. But I also want to do, let's see if I can get this to work here. I would like, so this is gold. That's not going to work. I wonder if I can get this to work with the Wink of Stella, the clear. We're looking at the wrong pen. For me, you need to use the other one, close to my heart. So let's see if this will work. So I'm going to get that kind of flowing here. Getting a bit of a squeeze, getting everything moving down. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. So what you can't see is that this is also kind of bringing a sploosh. Could do this with mica pearls. I've got some sheer shimmer spray. But what's happening here is so in and amongst the white, I'm also getting some really cool splatters of shimmer, right? So instead of drawing a line of shimmer, I'm getting kind of looks a little bit more like starlight, which is kind of what I'm going for. Okay, so I'm going to throw my schmudge piece of paper away here because I don't need it. I'm going to put this aside for just a couple of moments for it to dry, but I'll bring it up so that you can see. So you can see the white, but also, so I'm not sure if you can see where it's wet there. That's actually a little bit of the sparkle pen that has spritzed off kind of thing. Now, before this white acrylic paint dries on my craft mat here, I'm going to take this and give it a quick wipe. Okay. Now, if you've got an acrylic paint on your mat, you can't get it off, just take an alcohol wipe and give it a squidgy because that will pick it up. Like I have here. So let's do that actually, just so you guys can see. So handy thing to be picking up if you play with alcohol inks or you play with paints or anything like that. Just plain old alcohol swabs that you can get like to clean wounds, or if you have to do injections or anything like that. Usually they're fairly inexpensive to get like a pack of 100. I used to be able to find them at the Dollar Tree. Don't know if you still can or not, but like 100 for like $1.50. Heck yeah. Because our dollar store now here is $1.50 to like $1.75 or even more now. But if you're in the States, I think they're still mostly at $1. But I've heard that, or $1.25. I've heard that they're going up to $1.50 and maybe a little bit more. But there we go. Nice clean craft surface. Give it a wipe. There we go. And put that to the side here. And let's see here. Okay, so that is a little bit wet, but that's okay. So what I want to do is I am going to adhere this down, okay, to my card panel. Yeah, you can even see I got some weight on the back when I moved it around, but that's okay. Mhm. Okay, so I want this to be right up at the top, as close to the top as possible. Pick it up and smudge it into place here. Not too much white showing. Okay. Now, oops, I bring this back and we're going to use that to kind of push down a bit. We're not going to smudge too much. I want my card panel to adhere. Oh, my card front. There we go. Actually, I'm not actually picked up a lot of the smudgies. Okay, so now we have a starry night sky. Cool. And we're going to pull out this die, or the pull out the, oh, see, and even now I can move to see where my smoochie was right there. I'm going to pull this down. I'm just going to move it down a bit. Heck yeah, why not? Again, fixing it on the go. Not worth throwing out just for a little ink. Okay, so we're going to take this guy and we're going to place that right there. And I'm going to have to open my card and trim off the edge of the die because it goes a little long, but that's okay. I'd rather it was a little long than too short. Did I actually put my scissors away? I did. Yay. So, so I trimmed because you can see that I've got some navy. I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got navy popping out a little bit off of the edge here, but I'm just going to leave that because it doesn't really bother me. I mean, if it really does, I can go in with my guillotine trimmer and just whoosh off the edge there. But for right now, I'm just going to leave that because that's not the end of the world. And you guys don't need to wait while I'm futzing with that. And so now we've got Santa Claus is coming to town, and we're going to pop this guy off right kind of there. So let's put some foam tape behind this guy. There's a bigger piece of this. That for behind Santa. So, and then for the reindeer, we'll use this thinner stuff. For the not as wide stuff. I guess it's not thinner, it's the same thickness, but it has this nice narrow edge to it. So I don't have to do quite as much trimming. Still have to do some trimming, but not quite as much trimming. Right. Under the legs there, along the side, and oh, perfect. Wow, that was awesome. That rarely happens, right? How many guys watch my videos and it's like, good God, Crane is going to take you much longer here? A little bit of white paint there. Okay, let's see if, let us pull out our mono sand eraser and we're going to gently see if we can buff this white paint off. If not, it's not the end of the world because it's kind of off to the right here. Almost can't see it. It's just enough to irritate me. There we go. Yeah, that's better. There we go. Mono sand erasers, best thing ever. Okay, so we're gonna put him under right there, I think. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, and like that. Yep. Okay. Now, of course, Mr. Snowman here needs a little bit of needs to be pulled out and a little bit of glitter. Santa's sleigh probably needs a little bit of glitter, okay? A little bit of sheen and shine. Maybe his hat. Now, the other thing that I'd probably come in here and do is add some like fur to his like if I have stickles that I use, stickles and Nouveau drops to kind of create the texture of fur. So I'll do that for his beard and his cuffs and the pom pom and things like that. Probably come in and add like a little red dot on the nose and some glossy accents maybe for the sleigh and for the collar on the reindeer. But that's pretty good. The only other thing that I want to do is pearls. Ice flakes. Let's do some ice flakes. Little bit of glitter, little bit of glitter. Starting to lose everything in all of the schmutz that's on my desk here. Okay, so we're going to do some glitter stars here. Just adding more to the starry background. Yeah, and just to kind of help it make it look like a starry. So again, this is layered levels of glitter then, right? Because it helps it look more like stars as they're traveling across the sky. And of course, you don't have to do this. This is a totally unnecessary step. But because I have so much stuff, I want to use it. So I'm gonna use it here. Pull that down. And I'm gonna so I'm using a little bit more. Like typically I like to use 5, right? But because I'm doing a night sky and I want to add, I want it to look sparkly in the background. I am actually going to try and fill this out a little bit more than I probably would normally. I do like to, well, I don't like to, but I try to restrain myself when it comes to blinging stuff up. But some days you just gotta do it, you know? Okay. Was there? Okay. So I'm going to stick these down and then I'll pick it up and see, like, try it in the light and see how things are sitting. Okay, so, oh, let me get one down there. I thought I put one down there. Okay, see, gonna have to pull out a couple more because I should have had one there. Should also be another one up top there. Right. And the reason why I'm putting these so close to the houses, because obviously stars aren't that close, but it's in the distance, right? So behind the houses would look like there were stars because I've created a horizon. So I want to continue to have like stars in the horizon, obviously. So one right there behind Mr. Reindeer's ears or antlers, I guess it's not ears, antlers. Although I would imagine he does have ears, he, she, whatever. I guess if it's got antlers, it's actually a female, right? So again, because I'm putting so much crystal and so much glitter on here, like so many gems, this might have to be a hand deliverable card. Sorry, guys. But you could just stick to the regular amount. You don't have to go so bananas. But it's Christmas. Let's be a little extra. Um, yeah. This one, this one, and okay. Think we got them all. So I'm going to pick this up and I'm going to tilt it in the light. Yeah, see how those stars just kind of twinkle? So I've got the colored back, like I've added the white, I've added the snow, I've added the sparkle to the background. But by doing this, this is going to catch the light and it twinkles, kind of like a star is supposed to, right? Like, so that's the intent. That's why I added more than what I typically would, because I was actually filling out the stars in the sky kind of thing. That was the plan. All right. Well, I am so tickled with this card. Yeah. Okay, guys, that's going to be the video. Let me pull in the cards that we made today. Okay. So we've got the more simple, well, not simple, but had detail, but without a lot of the bling. Still had some bling, but not like, ooh, in your face. So really great for masculine. This would make a really lovely, like kids card, like a family card to a family that's got some kids. I have some of my husband's family in mind. Could go for that one. And then we've got this beautiful um, with the purple and the Merry Christmas. This would also make, if you had this and you did it in different colors, you could do it in this colors too, but this would make a really lovely winter birthday card, just doing a happy birthday along the side here. Okay. And another Merry Christmas. There. So those are the cards that we have done today. I hope you enjoyed the technique. And again, I'm sorry that it was so long, but like I said, I really wanted to show you the different options. I've had this video in mind. I've wanted to try this technique for a while now. And the more that I thought about it, the more options kept coming to me. So you can do, another thing you could do is you could do a border and then just do your sentiment right in the center. Maybe I might have to do another one of this, but for right now, this is where we're going to leave it with. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments section. I'd be happy to hear from you. Remember to keep it kind, subscribe if you haven't, share with your friends, and I will see you guys for the next video. Thanks so much and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.